What's going on, everybody? Good late afternoon or early evening. And we've got some updates from the general manager himself, John Schneider. He spoke with the media for a little bit today, talked about some things going on with his team right now, and gave us some new information. To be perfectly honest, it was mostly vague. He kept things mostly general, and I can understand why he would want to do that right now. There's still a lot of stuff that you want to hide from the rest of the league, but I want to go over what he said real quick, just kind of break it down and see if there's anything that we can learn here. So, first thing that he said regards Uchenna Nwosu, and this is actually pretty encouraging. So, first of all, Nwosu was not put on IR. That has still held to today. That doesn't mean he won't be. He could be put on IR anytime over the next, I think, week and a half. And it's the same thing, but not on IR. He, however, has a chance, according to John Schneider, of playing week one. When asked, he says it's too early to tell whether Uchenna can play week one. But obviously, avoiding IR suggests plan is to have him back in at least a few weeks. So the fact that Schneider, and maybe he's being overly positive, I don't know, maybe he's just trying to be deceiving to the Broncos side of things, so they have to plan for him a little bit. He did indicate that it's on the table that Nwosu can play against Denver, which would be, I think at this point, that would be fairly surprising to a lot of people. Although I want to stress this again, they said the injury was 2 to 6 weeks. 2 weeks would mean that he's ready to go the day before that Broncos game. So that would be cool. So that was the first thing he went into on. Next topic concerned Abe Lucas, and I got the quote here from Dugar. He was a lot less positive, to be perfectly honest. He was asked, "Do you expect Abe Lucas to play this year?" And he said, "I think so." So I guess that's better than 50%, but it doesn't sound like 80% either. And maybe it is 80%, but the fact that a general question like that couldn't be answered with 100% confidence is not great. He says that they're playing the long game with Abe, making sure to take care of him and do what's best for the player and team long term. I don't know. I didn't get a great vibe off of his Abe Lucas discussion. He basically said that he's going to play this year, we're pretty sure, but they're going to be careful with it and they're going to be very cautious with it. And it does kind of sound like this is not going the way they anticipated. And look, they told us he was going to be ready months ago and he's not ready now. So how can we be optimistic here? Those are obviously the two big injuries with the Seahawks right now, Nwosu and Lucas. So one sounds pretty good, the other not so much. But again, notice the language that Schneider's using here. It's pretty vague, pretty generalized. It's it definitely sounds like he's trying to hide his cards, but we know that Abe Lucas is on IR, right? We know he's missing the first 4 games minimum, so it's not like there's much room to be super positive there. There's room to be positive with Nwosu, but with Lucas, we're just kind of hanging on for dear life here. So hard to be encouraged with this particular update when Schneider can't even guarantee that he's going to play this season. More from Dugar. We also got a question about Geno Smith's contract, where they asked Schneider about the reports of Geno Smith's camp wanting a new contract this offseason. Schneider's quote was, "I'll leave contract stuff aside. There's a lot of people that want contract extensions, and I'm not going to get into specifics of who they are and all that. That's part of the job. It happens every year all the time." And then he was asked, "Did you and Geno Smith's camp discuss a new contract?" And he said, "No." So probably the bonus money makes it impractical to discuss a new contract right now, even though I wonder if it's theoretically possible if he's willing to really, really work with the team. But it's sounding like maybe that's not the case. And at the end of the day, the Seahawks have a track record here, right? They do not discuss new contracts with players that have multiple years left on their deal. And there's a very good reason why, especially when you're talking about a little bit of an older quarterback who you might not be 100% in on. Like I'm a fan of Geno Smith. I like him, but there has to be some thought in everyone's mind of when are we going to get that next Pat Mahomes, that next Josh Allen, eventually we're going to have to take a shot at it. And while Geno Smith is very good, and I think Geno's better than most people think that he is, he's never going to get to that level. So at some point you might want to take a swing at it. So in the meantime, you may as well at least have Geno commit to proving that he is that guy before you consider re-upping with him. So extending Geno sounds like it's not on the table right now. And again, it's probably like literally impossible because of his bonus money. Unfortunate quirk of NFL contracts, but I mean, it's understandable. We also got this concerning health with the Seahawks, and I don't know if this is concerning or this is just Schneider refusing to give anything concrete away, but when asked about Connor Williams playing week 1, he said he doesn't know, and Rayshawn Jenkins playing week 1, he said he doesn't know. It is worth noting that we carried 2 safeties on the practice squad, Okada and Blair, so that could be a not so great sign about Jenkins, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there. It's the practice squad at the end of the day, right? And we did carry the 3 centers on the starting opening day roster, so maybe that says something about Connor Williams. So I don't think you'd be that far out of bounds to look at this and say those guys aren't where we wanted them to be yet. But at the same time, there are ways around that that don't involve carrying a bunch of extra players on your roster and practice squad. So take it the way that you want to take it. But I look at this and I do wonder a little bit if we're just trying to hedge our bets against those guys being ready to go. And it sounds like maybe they don't have everything exactly where they wanted it to be yet. So read into it as you will, but Connor Williams doesn't know. Rayshawn Jenkins doesn't know. He doesn't seem to know much of anything when it comes to these injuries, to be perfectly honest. Now, one thing that happened today, Artie Burns, who was carted off the field in that Cleveland Browns preseason game, was back practicing today. So was Trey Brown, by the way. So Trey Brown's fine. But Artie Burns re-aggravated whatever the injury was today, and they're re-looking at it. So we'll see what happens there. It was a toe injury, according to Schneider. So it's possible that we just got pretty unlucky here with Burns, but time will tell. Obviously, the initial injury was not that bad if he's out there practicing less than half a week later, but now it could be much worse. Who knows? So that's what's going on with Artie Burns. It doesn't sound like it's that bad, but it could be that bad now. Schneider also indicated that the team is not done making moves yet. The real 53-man roster cutoff day is Tuesday, since that's when players get paid for week 1 if they are on the roster, hinting there will be more moves to come. And to that point, Brady Henderson fills us in here. When Schneider was asked about the 11 offensive linemen on the initial 53-man roster, Schneider says they considered keeping 12. And he also hinted that one of the 11 may not be on the 53 for long, which would probably be Sundel, if anybody. So basically, the indication is this team is not done working yet. They're going to make more roster moves. There are several guys on this team that I don't think will make it to Tuesday. That's going to be the big date here. So look for more roster shuffling over the next 7 days. I think the deadline's like 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So we've got less than a week, technically. And keep an eye on guys like Sundel to go. Maybe a guy like Brady Russell goes. Maybe Miles Adams gets shuffled out. Drake Thomas. So we're not done yet. But that is basically a quick rundown of what Schneider said today. Let me know what you guys think about it. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks.